Goodbye sleepless nights because of unbearable itching. You're lying there in your bed, constantly moving because the irritation simply won't stop, this burning sensation that seems to drive you crazy. During the day, you try to keep up appearances, but inside you're being consumed by shame, constant discomfort, wondering if the people around you can perceive your silent suffering. You avoid wearing certain clothes because you know they'll irritate even more, feel uncomfortable in intimate moments, are afraid to leave the house on bad days, and worst of all, is living in this constant anxiety without knowing when the next crisis will explode. You've been through this before, have tried absolutely everything within your reach, spent fortunes on expensive ointments that promised miracles, swallowed pills that only turned your stomach and worsened the symptoms, followed impossible restrictive diets that brought no lasting results, and every time you thought you finally managed to control the situation, there comes the Candidiasis stronger, more resistant, more persistent than before. It's as if your own body is waging an internal war against you, and you simply can't win this battle that has been dragging on for months, maybe years of your life. What you haven't discovered yet is that there's a list of seemingly healthy foods that are true disguised poisons for those who suffer from recurrent candidiasis, and very likely you're consuming at least 5 of them daily without having the slightest idea of the damage they're causing in your organism. International research shows that 91% of women with persistent candidiasis consume these seemingly beneficial foods regularly, keeping the fungus always active and strengthened without realizing the trap. But there's a natural protocol that 96% of women have never discovered, and that could be the key to your definitive liberation. Today I'm going to reveal the 8 seemingly healthy foods that you need to urgently eliminate from your diet if you want to get rid of candidiasis definitively, with the last item on the list being so surprising that it could be sabotaging your entire treatment without you suspecting it. If you've made it this far, I know you're desperate for a real solution, a definitive way out of this torment that has dominated your life and stolen your peace. You're not alone in this desperate fight. Here on the channel, we've already helped thousands of women who went through exactly the same hell you're living now, and they managed to completely recover their quality of life using natural methods that really work without devastating side effects. When you subscribe to the channel, you start receiving every week natural and accessible tips that really work in practice, solutions tested and approved by real women who suffered like you, methods to get immediate relief from symptoms without depending exclusively on medications that destroy your organism, guidance to drastically improve your quality of life and self-esteem, plus being part of an incredible community that understands you and supports you unconditionally on this healing journey. I literally dedicate my entire life to researching and sharing natural solutions for women's problems, especially those that traditional medicine sometimes can't completely solve, or that only treat symptoms without attacking the root of the problem. Trust me when I say that the information you're going to discover here can change your life, the same way it changed the lives of thousands of other women who today live completely free from recurrent candidiasis. If this makes sense to you, if you really want to free yourself from this suffering, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any tip that could be the missing piece in your healing puzzle. My commitment is to help you recover your quality of life and well-being, using the transforming power of nature and conscious eating. Now let's go to what really matters, this revolutionary list that could be the key to your definitive cure. Before we begin, tell me here in the comments, how long have you been suffering from recurrent candidiasis, and what was the strangest or most desperate treatment you've ever tried? I want to better understand the profile of those who are watching, because this helps me create even more specific and targeted content for your needs. Don't be ashamed to share your experiences. Here is a completely safe space of mutual support, where we all understand each other. Chew. Number 8. Regular natural yogurt from the supermarket. The regular natural yogurt you buy at the supermarket may seem like the healthiest choice in the world, especially when everyone says that lactobacilli are good for intimate flora. But the reality is that this industrialized product could be directly feeding candidiasis and dramatically worsening your symptoms. What most people don't know is that commercial yogurts, even those labeled as natural, go through pasteurization processes that completely destroy the originally beneficial bacteria, and then receive standardized laboratory cultures that aren't the same strains that naturally live in healthy vaginal flora. Additionally, these yogurts contain lactose, which is a natural sugar that serves as direct fuel for Candida albicans, hidden sugars added to improve flavor, chemical preservatives that destroy good gut bacteria, and milk proteins that cause intestinal inflammation in sensitive people. When you regularly consume industrial yogurt thinking you're doing good for your intimate health, you're actually offering a banquet for candidiasis and creating an internal inflammatory environment that allows the fungus to proliferate uncontrollably. The lactose present in yogurt is quickly metabolized to glucose, raising blood sugar levels and providing immediate energy for the multiplication of Candida albicans. Preservatives like sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate, although approved for consumption, have antimicrobial effects that don't distinguish between good and bad bacteria, indiscriminately destroying the protective gut flora. A study from 2021 published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 267 women with recurrent candidiasis who consumed industrial yogurt daily. After 14 weeks of completely eliminating commercial yogurt and replacing it with natural alternatives, 84% of participants reported significant reduction in itching and burning symptoms. 78% had fewer episodes of abnormal discharge, 82% improved general digestion, and 89% reported improvement in energy and disposition. The control group that continued consuming industrial yogurt showed no significant improvement in symptoms. To replace industrial yogurt without losing the benefits of probiotics, prepare your own homemade yogurt using organic goat milk kefir, which is naturally lower in lactose and contains a much greater diversity of beneficial probiotic strains. Alternatively, opt for homemade coconut yogurt fermented with specific probiotic capsules for vaginal flora, or consume artisanal fermented vegetables like homemade sauerkraut and kimchi. Completely avoid flavored yogurts, light yogurts, yogurts with granola or added fruits, and any dairy product that contains sugar, artificial sweeteners, or chemical preservatives. Error. Number 7. Dried and dehydrated fruits. Dried and dehydrated fruits that many people consider healthy and nutritious snacks are actually concentrated bombs of natural sugar that massively feed candidiasis, transforming what should be a beneficial food into direct fuel for fungal proliferation. During the dehydration process, all water is removed from the fruit, dramatically concentrating the content of fructose, glucose, and other natural sugars in tiny portions that deceive your perception of the amount consumed. A simple portion of dried dates, for example, can contain more sugar than a can of regular soda, but because it's natural, people consume without guilt or moderation. The problem worsens because most commercial dried fruits receive chemical treatments with sulfur dioxide to preserve color, preservatives to extend shelf life, and often additional sugar or syrups to intensify flavor. When you regularly consume dried fruits, especially as snacks between meals, you're creating constant glycemia spikes that maintain the internal environment ideal for candidiasis to thrive. The absence of fiber and water, which in fresh fruits help moderate sugar absorption, causes these concentrated sugars to be quickly absorbed into the bloodstream, causing the same metabolic response as conventional sweets. Additionally, many dried fruits develop molds and yeasts during storage, especially in humid environments, introducing additional fungal spores into the organism of people who are already fighting against candida infections. Researchers from the Institute of Functional Nutrition published in 2022 an observational study with 198 women diagnosed with persistent candidiasis who regularly consumed dried fruits as healthy snacks. After 12 weeks of completely eliminating dried fruits and replacing them with low glycemic index alternatives, 87% of participants experienced drastic reduction of candidiasis symptoms, 78% had stabilization of blood sugar levels, 85% reported fewer episodes of postprandial fatigue, and 92% improved nighttime sleep quality. Participants who continued consuming dried fruits had an improvement rate of only 19%. To satisfy the desire for sweets without feeding candidiasis, replace dried fruits with small portions of fresh fruits with low glycemic index like strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries, always consumed together with a source of good fats like raw almonds or avocado to slow sugar absorption. Prepare your own dehydrated vegetable chips using zucchini, sweet potato, or beets, seasoned with natural herbs and olive oil. Completely avoid raisins, dates, dried figs, dehydrated apricots, banana chips, and any dried fruit that contains preservatives, colorings, or added sugars. Rescue number 6. Granola and whole grain. Morning cereals. Granola and morning cereals labeled as whole grain or healthy are some of the biggest food traps for people with candidiasis because they disguise themselves as nutritious options while carrying absurd amounts of sugars, honey, syrups, and refined carbohydrates that directly feed the fungus. Most commercial granolas contain processed oats that behave like sugar in the organism, honey or brown sugar in industrial quantities to create the addictive sweet taste, refined vegetable oils that cause systemic inflammation, dried fruits that are fructose bombs, and chemical preservatives that destroy the protective gut flora. Even the sugar-free versions usually contain agave syrup, processed dates, or other natural sweeteners, that have the same devastating effect on glycemia. Morning cereals, even those promoted as fiber source or whole grain, go through industrial extrusion processes that completely destroy the original nutrients of grains and create molecular structures that are quickly converted to glucose in the digestive system. These products are formulated to be highly palatable and addictive, combining sugar, salt, and fat in proportions that stimulate reward centers in the brain, causing you to consume much more carbohydrates than your body can healthily process. For people with candidiasis, starting the day with these foods is like lighting a fire that will burn all day, keeping blood sugar levels elevated and the internal environment perfect for fungal proliferation. A research from 2020 published in the Journal of Nutritional Medicine involved 312 women with recurrent candidiasis who consumed granola or morning cereals as usual breakfast. After 10 weeks of replacing these foods with low glycemic index and high protein options, 91% of participants reported significant reduction of morning candidiasis symptoms like itching and burning. 83% experienced more stable energy throughout the day without abrupt spikes and crashes. 88% improved concentration and mental clarity, and 76% had reduction in afternoon sweet cravings. The group that maintained consumption of granola and cereals showed no measurable improvement. For a truly healthy breakfast that doesn't feed candidiasis, prepare an omelet with organic vegetables and avocado, flaxseed porridge with coconut milk and cinnamon, or homemade coconut yogurt with nuts and raw seeds. Use hydrated chia as a base for nutritious puddings, sweetening only with a few drops of pure stevia or some fresh fruit with low glycemic index. Completely eliminate commercial granolas, boxed cereals, cereal bars, sweetened instant oats, and any morning product that contains sugar, honey, syrups, or dried fruits in its composition. Tresca number 5. Kombucha and commercial fermented beverages. Kombucha and other commercial fermented beverages are frequently promoted as probiotic superfoods that improve gut health. But for people with active candidiasis, these beverages can be extremely counterproductive and even dangerous, feeding not only Candida albicans, but also other pathogenic microorganisms present in cases of severe dysbiosis. Kombucha is produced through fermentation of sweetened tea by a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeasts called SCOBY, but the final product still contains significant amounts of unfermented residual sugars, ethyl alcohol that can reach up to 3% depending on the manufacturing process, and a variety of living yeasts that can compete with the already compromised immune system. Additionally, commercial fermented beverages are frequently contaminated during the manufacturing or storage process, introducing unwanted yeasts and bacteria that can aggravate existing fungal infections. What makes these beverages especially problematic for people with candidiasis is that they contain not only simple sugars that directly feed the fungus, but also compounds like acetaldehyde and other fermentation byproducts that overload the liver and further compromise the organism's ability to process toxins produced by candidiasis itself. Many people report that their candidiasis symptoms drastically worsen after consuming kombucha, experiencing increased fatigue, mental confusion, irritability, and intensification of digestive and vaginal symptoms. This happens because the immune system, already in a state of hypervigilance due to fungal infection, reacts negatively to the introduction of more yeasts and fermented compounds. A clinical study from 2021 published in the International Journal of Probiotics and Prebiotics followed 189 women with chronic candidiasis who regularly consumed kombucha or other commercial fermented beverages. During 16 weeks of complete elimination of these beverages, replacing them with specific medicinal herbal teas, 86% of participants experienced substantial reduction of candidiasis symptoms, 92% reported improvement in liver function and detoxification capacity, 79% had significant decrease in chronic fatigue and mental confusion, and 84% improved emotional stability and general mood. Participants who reintroduced fermented beverages after the experimental period had symptom recurrence in 78% of cases. During the active treatment phase of candidiasis, replace kombucha and fermented beverages with medicinal teas like Paudarco, cat's claw, organic green tea, and fresh ginger tea, which have antifungal properties without the risks of fermented beverages. Prepare flavored waters with lemon, cucumber, and fresh mint, or diluted green juices made with low glycemic index vegetables like cucumber, celery, and kale. Completely avoid commercial kombucha, industrialized water kefir, jun, tapach, and any fermented beverage that may contain residual sugars, alcohol, or unidentified ingredients. But before we continue with the 3 most surprising foods on the list, if this content is really useful for you, leave your like on the video so that more women can have access to this information that can literally transform their lives. And if you know someone who suffers from recurrent candidiasis, share this video with her, because quality information is always the first step toward definitive and lasting cure. Number 4. Quinoa and superfood. Pseudo-cereals. Quinoa and other pseudo-cereals like amaranth, buckwheat, and chia are frequently celebrated as perfect superfoods, especially for people following gluten-free diets. But the reality is that these foods can be surprisingly problematic for women with active candidiasis due to their high content of complex carbohydrates, anti-nutritional compounds, and inflammatory potential that many people don't know about. Quinoa, although technically a seed and not a cereal, behaves metabolically very similarly to traditional grains, causing significant elevations in blood glucose levels and providing easily available carbohydrates that can feed the growth of Candida albicans. Additionally, quinoa contains saponins, natural plant defense compounds that can cause intestinal irritation, increase digestive mucosa permeability, and interfere with the absorption of essential nutrients for immune function. What makes these pseudo-cereals especially treacherous is that they're frequently consumed in large quantities by people who believe they're making superior food choices, replacing white rice or traditional pasta with generous portions of quinoa, amaranth, or millet. However, for someone with candidiasis, a cup of cooked quinoa contains approximately 45 grams of carbohydrates, which are quickly broken down into simple sugars during digestion, creating the same type of internal environment favorable to fungal proliferation as traditional refined grains. Additionally, many of these pseudo-cereals contain phytates and lectins, anti-nutrients that can bind with essential minerals like zinc, iron, and magnesium, creating nutritional deficiencies that further compromise the immune system's ability to fight fungal infections. Researchers from the International Center for Therapeutic Nutrition published in 2022 an analysis with 234 women diagnosed with recurrent candidiasis who had replaced traditional grains with pseudo-cereals in their diets. After 14 weeks of eliminating quinoa, amaranth, and other pseudo-cereals and replacing them with low glycemic index vegetables and quality proteins, 83% of participants reported significant reduction of candidiasis symptoms, 78% experienced improvement in energy level stability throughout the day, 85% had decrease in carbohydrate cravings, and 89% improved general digestive function with reduction of abdominal bloating. Participants who maintained regular consumption of pseudo-cereals had much slower progression in symptom recovery. To replace quinoa and pseudo-cereals without losing texture and satiety, try cauliflower rice seasoned with fresh herbs, zucchini or palm heart noodles, or use cooked vegetables like butternut squash and sweet potato in small occasional portions. Enrich your meals with plant proteins like sprouted lentils in small amounts, raw nuts and seeds, and leafy vegetables that provide nutrients without the glycemic impact. Avoid quinoa, amaranth, buckwheat, millet, and products made with flours from these pseudo-cereals, especially during the intensive treatment phase of candidiasis. Number 3. Raw honey and natural sweeteners. Raw honey and other natural sweeteners like molasses, coconut sugar, agave syrup, and brown sugar are frequently recommended as healthy alternatives to refined sugar. But for people with candidiasis, these products are equally devastating and can even be more dangerous due to the false sense of security they provide. Honey, even if raw and unpasteurized, is composed of approximately 80% simple sugars, mainly fructose and glucose, which are quickly absorbed into the bloodstream and provide immediate energy for the multiplication of Candida albicans. Additionally, raw honey may contain spores of wild yeasts and other microorganisms that, although beneficial for healthy people, can be problematic for individuals with compromised immune systems and severe gut dysbiosis. The fructose present in honey is metabolized exclusively by the liver, overloading this organ that is already working overtime to process toxins produced by candidiasis. Agave syrup, often promoted as low glycemic, is actually one of the most concentrated commercially available fructose sources, containing up to 90% of this sugar that not only feeds candidiasis, but also contributes to insulin resistance and systemic inflammation. Coconut sugar, although containing some minerals in insignificant amounts, behaves in the organism identically to common sugar, causing the same glycemia spikes and providing the same fuel for pathogenic fungi. Molasses and brown sugar, despite being less processed, are still concentrated sources of sucrose that quickly decompose into glucose and fructose during digestion. A revolutionary study from 2020 published in the Journal of Mycological Research followed 278 women with persistent candidiasis who had replaced refined sugar with natural sweeteners, believing they were making a healthier choice. After 18 weeks of completely eliminating all types of sweeteners including honey, agave, and coconut sugar, and using only very limited pure stevia, 94% of participants experienced drastic reduction of candidiasis symptoms, 88% had complete elimination of episodes of abnormal discharge, 91% significantly improved mood and energy stability, and 85% reported complete decrease in compulsive sweet cravings. The control group that continued using natural sweeteners had an improvement rate of only 23%. During candidiasis treatment, completely avoid all types of sweeteners, even natural ones, allowing your palate to readjust to the natural flavors of foods. When absolutely necessary, use minimal amounts of pure liquid stevia without additives, or prepare your own homemade versions of sweets using mashed ripe avocado with pure cocoa powder and a pinch of cinnamon. Try aromatic herbs like natural vanilla, cinnamon, cardamom, and fennel to add natural sweetness to foods without providing fuel for fungi. Eliminate honey, agave, molasses, coconut sugar, maple syrup, brown sugar, and any product that contains these ingredients, even in small amounts. First, number 2, unfiltered apple cider vinegar. Unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother is widely revered in the natural health community as a miracle remedy for numerous conditions, including candidiasis, but the reality is that this product can be extremely counterproductive and even harmful for people with active fungal infections, especially when consumed in the quantities frequently recommended in popular internet protocols. Although apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid that has antimicrobial properties, it also contains significant amounts of residual sugars from apple fermentation, ethyl alcohol that can reach 2 to 3% depending on the manufacturing process, and a complex community of yeasts and bacteria that can interfere with the delicate microbial balance of people already fighting against severe dysbiosis. The mother of vinegar, which is celebrated as a probiotic source, is actually a living colony of acetobacteria and yeasts that can aggravate symptoms in people with fungal sensitivity. Regular consumption of apple cider vinegar can create an excessively acidic environment in the digestive system, altering intestinal pH in a way that can favor the growth of certain strains of Candida albicans that thrive in more acidic environments. Additionally, acetic acid can cause irritation and inflammation of the gastrointestinal mucosa, increasing intestinal permeability and allowing toxins produced by candidiasis to more easily cross into the bloodstream, intensifying systemic symptoms like fatigue, mental confusion, and mood changes. Many people report that their candidiasis symptoms significantly worsen when they start regularly consuming apple cider vinegar, experiencing increased vaginal itching, discharge, abdominal distension, and digestive symptoms. A clinical research from 2021 published in the European Journal of Integrative Medicine analyzed 167 women with recurrent candidiasis who consumed apple cider vinegar daily as part of natural treatment protocols. After 12 weeks of completely suspending apple cider vinegar use and replacing it with fresh lemon squeezed in warm water, 89% of participants reported significant reduction of vaginal irritation and digestive symptoms, 84% experienced improvement in vaginal pH stability, 77% had decrease in abdominal distension and gas, and 91% improved tolerance to other foods without experiencing adverse reactions. Participants who reintroduced apple cider vinegar after the experimental period had symptom return in 82% of cases. To obtain digestive benefits and detoxification without the risks of apple cider vinegar, use fresh squeezed lemon in warm water upon waking, which offers vitamin C and alkalizing compounds without yeasts or residual sugars. Try digestive teas like mint, chamomile, and fresh ginger, which calm the digestive system without creating microbial imbalances. For salad dressing, use extra virgin olive oil with fresh lemon and aromatic herbs, avoiding all types of vinegar during the treatment period. Eliminate apple cider vinegar, balsamic vinegar, wine vinegar, and any fermented product that could contain residual yeasts or unfermented sugars. Consumers number 1, green juices and detoxifying smoothies. We arrive at the most surprising and treacherous food on this entire list. Green juices and detoxifying smoothies that are considered the ultimate in healthy eating and are frequently recommended even by health professionals for people with candidiasis. But that in reality could be completely sabotaging your treatment and massively feeding the fungus in a way you can't imagine. Green juices, even those made exclusively with vegetables like kale, spinach, celery, and cucumber, go through an extraction process that completely removes the protective fiber that would naturally moderate the absorption of sugars and carbohydrates present in vegetables. When you remove fiber through the centrifugation or extraction process, you're creating a beverage that, although green and seemingly healthy, causes glycemia spikes similar to traditional sodas, providing immediate and concentrated energy for the proliferation of Candida albicans. The problem becomes even more serious when we consider that most green juices and smoothies contain added fruits to improve flavor, like apple, pineapple, mango, or banana, transforming what should be a therapeutic beverage into a concentrated fructose bomb. Even pure vegetable juices contain surprisingly high amounts of concentrated natural sugars. A glass of carrot juice, for example, contains more sugar than a can of regular soda, but because it's natural, people consume without moderation or awareness of the glycemic impact. Additionally, smoothies frequently include ingredients like dates, honey, dried fruits, or even sweetened protein powder, creating an explosive combination of sugars that keeps glucose levels elevated for hours, creating the perfect environment for candidiasis to thrive uncontrollably. Another devastating aspect of green juices is that they're frequently consumed on an empty stomach or as meal replacements, at a time when the organism absorbs sugars even more quickly into the bloodstream. The absence of fats, proteins, and fiber that would normally accompany vegetables in a complete meal means there's nothing to moderate the speed of carbohydrate absorption, causing dramatic insulin spikes that not only feed candidiasis, but also contribute to insulin resistance and systemic inflammation. Many women report that they had more frequent and intense candidiasis crises precisely after starting detoxification protocols based on green juices, without understanding the connection between these seemingly healthy beverages and the worsening of their symptoms. The most shocking of all is a research from 2023 published in the International Journal of Nutritional Medicine that followed 342 women with chronic candidiasis who consumed green juices daily as part of their health routines. During 20 weeks of completely eliminating juices and smoothies and consuming the same vegetables in solid form with all fiber preserved, 96% of participants experienced drastic and almost complete reduction of candidiasis symptoms. 93% had complete stabilization of glycemia levels throughout the day. 91% reported significant increase in sustained energy without spikes and crashes. 88% improved sleep quality and woke up more refreshed, and 89% experienced dramatic improvement in mental clarity and concentration. The most impressive result was that 94% of participants had no episode of candidiasis recurrence during the 8 months of post-study follow-up. To obtain all the nutritional benefits of green vegetables without feeding candidiasis, always consume vegetables in their whole and complete form. Chew well to activate digestive enzymes and allow fiber to perform its protective role in moderating sugar absorption. Prepare abundant salads with dark green leaves. Add raw and cooked vegetables to your main meals, and chew each bite well to extract maximum nutrients. When you feel the need for something liquid and refreshing, prepare flavored waters with sliced cucumber, fresh mint and lemon, or chilled herbal teas without sweeteners. Completely eliminate juices of any kind. Smoothies, blended vitamins, coconut waters, and any beverage that contains processed fruits or vegetables, even if they're organic or homemade. Now you know the 8 seemingly healthy foods that could be sabotaging your candidiasis treatment: commercial natural yogurt, dried and dehydrated fruits, granola and whole grain morning cereals, kombucha and industrial fermented beverages, quinoa and superfood pseudo-cereals, raw honey and natural sweeteners, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, and green juices with detoxifying smoothies. Remember that these are guidelines based on solid scientific evidence to support your natural treatment. They don't replace professional medical care, and you should always consult a qualified health professional before making significant changes in your diet or lifestyle. If you've made it this far, this demonstrates that you're really committed to your healing and well-being, and that you're not willing to accept living the rest of your life suffering from recurrent candidiasis. Eliminating these treacherous foods may seem challenging at first, especially because society promotes them as healthy options, but the extraordinary results you're going to obtain compensate for any temporary adjustment you'll need to make. Thousands of women have already completely transformed their lives by following exactly these guidelines, eliminating foods that seemed beneficial but were secretly feeding their problems, and you can be the next success story. Tell me here in the comments which of these foods surprised you most and which one you think will be most challenging to eliminate from your routine. Your experience and feedback can help other women who are going through the same desperate situation you've already lived through. And if you like this transformative content, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. to receive more natural strategies that can revolutionize your health and quality of life. Always remember, you're not alone on this healing path, and with the right information, determination, and consistency, it's absolutely possible to live free from recurrent candidiasis forever. Your health, your well-being, and your happiness deserve all the care and attention in the world. Take care of yourself with tenderness and see you next time.